public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public. Built in public. Built in public. B150 where the real ones found. Built in public, no mask, no frontin', turn nothing to something. Now everybody want in. B-Con 50, yeah, I did it with nothing. No label, no backing, just vision and hustling. Used to code in the dark, now I ship in the light. Every post is a brick in the product I write. Dreams bigger than budgets, heart bigger than doubt. They ain't believe in the kid, I still map the route. I ain't wait for a check, I ain't wait for a team.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep, all good. How are you?
Oh, amazing. Wow. Looks like it intelligently figured out that the thing was over somehow. I'm shocked that it did that. Do you still see the screen, or is it just me right now?
Just you.
I see Mateo is large, and then everybody is kind of like on the
Unlocked.
sidebar.
Okay, good, yeah.
You're full
Mateo's-
screen, Mateo.
There you go.
Mateo's taking over.
I thought I
He's
was just
taking
large.
Yeah, actually, let me see if I can adjust that. There we go. Now that's looking a lot prettier. Awesome. It's so good to have you guys here. It looks like, yeah, Riverside must have did something to update this, because that was pretty cool that it just ended the thing without me doing anything. Amazing. Well, this is one of our first sessions like this. I'm trying to experiment with different formats and seeing, really what works. But, I figure every week I'm learning something new in AI. I mean, things are just rapidly changing, and I thought it would be really cool to just have a format where other people could share some of the cool things that they're learning also, and just get more community participation, and and just learn from others as well. So is there anybody that wants to kick things off? I've got something that I learned this week that I think a lot of people who are in the know probably know about, but I'm happy to share that. But if there's somebody who is interested in sharing something that they've learned this week, I'd love to start with you guys, and we can go from there. Cool. Wow. I see everybody's being shy, but
I've got one. I mean, I just learned it. I didn't think, I was a little nervous because I hadn't figured something out before this talk, but I just found out that there's a software called Miro. It's a virtual whiteboard, and lots of strategy facilitators and use it to map out experiences for working with groups. And I just found out they have this new AI wire framing tool to help build and design different templates. So that's pretty sweet.
wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that they were doing that. Is
They
it possible to show your screen and give us a little sample of what that looks like?
No, because it was a friend. Here, if you give me 5 minutes, I can do it. It was a friend's board, but maybe I can do something real quick. I just need to keep going. But if someone else wants to share, and then come back to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump in and maybe share a little bit of what I've been kind of playing around with. So I'll share my screen and I can talk about it. So first of all, how many of you guys have heard of what Nano Banana is? Does everybody kind of know what Nano Banana is?
Sounds familiar, but
Yep.
Okay, all right.
That's
Well,
about
just to frame up the context, Nano Banana, although now it's funny, it's fading from being all the rage, because all of a sudden Sora 2 pops in, and it's oh wow, now that's the next new hot thing. But just maybe a week ago, Nano Banana was like all the rage. They do different things, by the way, but what Nano Banana is a text-to-image model developed by Google. It's one of the names of their models, just a funny name. And essentially, one of the things that they solved was character consistency. I think like when you use Midjourney or any of the other image models that are out there, they're fantastic and incredibly powerful. But one of the really challenging parts was getting, let's say, an image that you upload to actually appear correctly inside of the image model, right? Or the image generation that the image model created. So Nano Banana really solved this, and it's really impressive. So actually, for the the event, like one of the posts I did for this event, I had an image of me at like a round table, but it was like all the people in the image were me, and they were all in different outfits. And I actually used Nano Banana to create that. So yeah, why don't I actually share with you guys like that workflow, like exactly what I did. Maybe not that one. I'll show you another one. Although I probably can pull that one up too. But I kind of like in advance created something very quickly, and we can actually do it a little bit together. So first of all, like if I think if you pay for Google for Business, you get Google AI Studio as part of that. But I'm not positive. But I do think there may be a free version of this as well. And this also, it doesn't just work here. I think like Google's Gemini, if you just go to Google Gemini and fire this up, this flash image here, this is actually the exact same thing as Nano Banana. And even here it says like create professional headshot. Like this actually gives me a prompt to do that. And it's saying, hey, like upload a selfie. And so like if you needed to create a headshot, like you could like literally go to your computer and like find like a headshot of you. Like I'll just show you a quick example. Let's find, I'm gonna not use somebody else's. I'll just use I'll use one of mine so that we don't violate anybody's privacy. Let's see here. I think we got it here instead of headshots. And let's use a really crappy one, like an old one that I had done. Yeah, this is really terrible. Let's go with that. And let's upload that and just see like what it does with it. And this is just using like the Gemini model. The Studio model is a little more powerful. It gives you a little more control. But just as like a basic level, okay, like did a pretty good job. It actually like adjusted the lighting, which was like a little harsh, changed the context a little bit. I could probably give it more instruction and be more clear about what I want. I relied upon this instruction. So it did, essentially what it asked. But just something to note that like you can play with this and make it better. But in Google AI Studio, if you open this up, it'll say try Nano Banana. So you can click that, it'll open it. And then down here, you can essentially prompt it with whatever you want and then add as many images as you want. And so what I did, and if we go to my chat history, I'm gonna go to this one. So the idea was I took a few different shots of me, like especially it's helpful when you do it at different angles because then it can capture really the idea of your whole face. And then I gave it a very specific prompt. And I started with one prompt and then I brought it into ChatGPT and I asked it to like finesse the prompt and make it better for, text to image models. And then it's spit out this. So using these images, create a cinematic close-up image of a skinny, not overly muscular, me dunking a basketball in an NBA game while wearing an NBA-style jersey that's black and I meant to say white, but the jersey features the B150 logo, all white text using mono font and no background. And I did a few iterations on this, which is why I added this level of specificity because I saw the model doing certain things I didn't want. And then it says the scene should look like a Nike ad shot on a red camera with matte tones, grainy texture, moody lighting. Camera angles should capture the intensity, motion, sweat, light flare, shallow depth of field, and the shot should feel like it was filmed by a famous director known for sports commercials. And then another important detail was I turned the temperature to be 0, and that's because you can see here it says creativity allowed in the responses. If I turn this up, it will be more creative. If I make it less, it will make it less creative, meaning it's going to just try to follow the prompt directly, and it's going to try to use the images you provided directly. Otherwise, it may, kind of replace me with like an NBA player that it's studied, because it's studied thousands and thousands of images of NBA players likely. So that's the only things I set, and then everything else is just exactly the same, although you could definitely adjust some of these advanced settings as well. And then let's just make this bigger. This is the outfit. There's me in my B150 jersey dunking a basketball, although I think I'm still a lot more muscular in this photo than I want. But yeah, just like a really cool result. And we can even keep going with it. Like, give me more angles. And we can kind of see, maybe it will give us like some different angles of this particular shot, or maybe different variations of me dunking a basketball. Now, where this could be like super valuable, of course, is like, imagine doing, you need to create, what's it called, thumbnails for your YouTube videos, right? Or different variations for some sort of greeting card. I don't know. There's all sorts of use cases where it could be useful. Okay, so here did a really poor job with it. What was that?
You've multiplied on that image.
I've multiplied. I've also turned black. Like there's obviously some kinks that need to be worked out here, and you probably have to keep working with it to prompt it. But I think just a good starting point for look, you can actually branch from here, so I could say show. Okay. So it's when you branch, I guess it creates a new thing. Okay. So like, show a different dunk style.
I've done very similar stuff in ChatGPT before, but I found, and I haven't used this at all, when I'm doing it in ChatGPT, it's kind of like generating one image at a time. But like your prompt, you're like, give me some more angles. It seems like it crammed that simple follow-up prompt into one image rather than like giving you 4 different images with 4 different angles.
Yes. I agree, and that is, I think, one of the limitations for sure. Like,
do you mind if I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Sorry. So the prompt that you've added, like, did you like wrote it yourself, or did you use ChatGPT?
Yeah. Great question. So I
initially do that. I go to ChatGPT. I initially write description, whatever I have in my mind, but then I kind of ask ChatGPT to give me a proper prompt, so that I can use it actually for.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, and also like I have some knowledge of different prompting techniques, so that was helpful for me to instruct it better. But yeah, my initial prompt was not as finessed as what you read, and also, like I said, my initial prompt, even after I finessed it with ChatGPT, I plugged it in there, and then it gave me a result. But the result wasn't exactly what I wanted, so I actually refined the prompt more, and then replugged it in, and then regenerated until I got to that image. And that probably took maybe like 5 or 6 prompts. You didn't see the thread of prompts because I just kept regenerating from the same. I edited the original prompt, but yeah, it was probably like 5 or 6 before I got like an image that was usable.
Nice.
But yeah, you're not far away from it. Like it'll take you no more than 5 minutes, I think, to like get it working properly for what you need. And then you can move on and use that where you need. I've used it already on our thumbnails and our YouTube videos, and it's been really, really successful, I have to say. I mean, I'd say I know the difference between it being me and like AI generated, and probably my wife does too. But even she was like, This is really good though. Like it's like most people would not know like the
Yeah.
nuance of this photo in your expressions, you know.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing, Adam.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Any questions about it that I can help answer? Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what you guys will also do with it. I'm sure you'll find many, many other use cases. It's worth noting that, you know, you probably have seen the internet has been ablaze with content from Sora 2, that Sora 2 has now mastered this in text to video, right? Which was also a massive hurdle. And so that is also equally very cool. Obviously, some interesting use cases could be, you know, applied for that as well. Cool, Chris. Maybe I'll come back to you if you're ready. If not, maybe someone else has some interesting stuff to share.
Well, hopefully there's someone else current
Yeah.
another moment.
Yeah, I could-
I'm having trouble getting access. It's a beta thing.
Cool, cool. Andy, sounds like you might have something.
Yeah, yeah, I'll jump in. So is everybody aware that OpenAI's Dev Day was yesterday? Did anybody pay attention to any announcements
I
that they
heard
made?
about it. Did not watch it.
Yeah.
Saw the clips, the highlights,
Yeah.
but tell us more.
I didn't watch any of it either, and so mine is very much like whatever notes I've scrounged up on the internet, scrolling through LinkedIn and various different things. But I saw Figma announced, or ChatGPT, OpenAI announced their integration with Figma, and so let me share.
I posted the link in the chat earlier.
Oh, cool. Um,
Thank you.
How do I share screen? Okay. So here's an example where I tagged Figma in the chat, and I sent it a prompt, create a flowchart for setting up a retargeting campaign and a marketing platform specifically geared towards nonprofits. That's my full-time job. I work for a company called Feather that offers a marketing platform for nonprofits. And so it created this Fig Jam that has a flowchart of, you know, breaking down through the wizard, all the various different steps. If it has a pixel installed, no, install the tracking pixel. If so, create an audience segment, and so on, which is really cool just to kind of like get in the mindset and framework of a user and kind of the stereotypical flows that they would go through when creating a campaign. And this is a FigJam file, so you're able to open it in Figma and edit it, make all the changes that you need to. But this was a second prompt that I sent it. My initial one, before fully like realizing what it was, I wondered if it was like exclusively FigJam and exclusively flowcharts that it produced, because that's what everything I was seeing. I actually initially sent a prompt saying make a wireframe of an e-commerce app for grocery shopping to see if it would actually create any sort of wireframes in Figma, and it didn't. It just did a flowchart, but it's still kind of like a starting point to kind of get the conversation going and get some gut reactions and feedback to key stakeholders. So being able to go from ChatGPT and a prompt and open this in Figma and edit it accordingly is really cool. Dylan, the CEO of Figma, shared something on LinkedIn demoing this workflow before this integration and then after this integration. I think it was for like, what is the world going to look like in the year 2100 or something like that. So it was interesting to see the output from the prompts like that, but pretty cool.
This is very cool. I'm curious, has Figma also integrated this tool and idea actually into the tool itself, like into actual Figma?
It's been a while since I've used any AI features in FigJam.
Yeah.
But I think this is a way more impressive output than what I recall FigJam having.
Yeah, I haven't checked that out yet either. I'm curious because it's funny. It's like I'm trying to like, it's impressive that you can do this, and I love that. The question is like, why keep it inside of inside of ChatGPT, right? Like when ideally, like I'm actually working inside of Figma the whole time, and I'm never leaving it because I this feature and functionality already exists, let's say there, and then I'm moving from that workflow wise directly into maybe creating actual wires like you suggested, or maybe even an actual design or prototype. And so, yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on
I,
that.
Yeah, I think the connectivity to ChatGPT, a tool that most of us are using to
Hmm.
store context,
Hmm.
historical project-based context overall, we're able to reference in a tool like ChatGPT
Okay.
better than in Figma. And we don't do everything in
Yes.
Figma. We do a lot in Figma, but the connectivity with ChatGPT to Figma and then ChatGPT to your Google account or whatever,
Yeah.
it can also, scan your emails and your contacts and all, that type of stuff. So I think
That's
that
smart. Yeah.
that like that connectivity is where it comes in and is super powerful.
Yeah, that I love that context, and I had not thought about that. I mean, I have a folder for B150, and every thought or conversation I've ever had with ChatGPT is in there, so it knows everything about the platform.
Yeah.
And so I could see us, as we wireframe like a new feature or think through a new feature and like how it's going to work. I mean, we're doing it right now. We're building, a marketplace, and marketplaces are like extraordinarily complex. We're building like a sponsorship system, and I was like, oh damn, are like we're gonna have to like rebuild like Google Ads, like basically like in our system, like that's super complex. And so now we're like trying to sort that out, and I could see this being useful as we like work through the flows and like maybe have a good starting point so that we don't have to, as UX designers, have to start everything from scratch. It's like it's
Right.
something as a starting point, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's true or not true. I'm going to change it and edit it and make it better. So yeah, very, very cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Andy. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very nice, interesting tool. I know that they've also launched several other apps inside of there, which is interesting too. I saw something like a demo of Spotify. I'm curious to like dive into that world more. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
connected to all the accounts that I did have access to. Figma's the only one that I've tested so far. I did connect Spotify, but I'd be curious as to what that is actually going to do. Like, what's a helpful use case for something like Spotify?
Yeah, I know like I connected my Gmail and calendar, and there's definitely some funny things there because like I have multiple email accounts. I've got
Hmm.
one for B150, I've
Yeah.
got one
Yeah,
for Academy, I've got one for my personal. And there wasn't a way to like add all of them.
right.
And then like I use my Google Calendar on one account actually to manage the calendar of all accounts. So that's also complicated. So it's like, oh, well, if I want to leverage the value of having these things connected, I really need all of them connected for it to
Yeah,
work the way that I
yeah.
want. So I'm curious to see what they do with some of these. I'm sure they'll improve it over time as those like edge cases come up. But yeah, that was interesting. And then I think they also announced that they're doing basically like an agent model, kind of like N8N, which I'm also very interested to see what happens there. I mean, one less subscription to pay for is always great. Obviously, ChatGPT trying to eat everybody's lunch, maybe not so great, but my experience with these type of tools, generally speaking, has been that when they launch these and they try to eat everyone else's lunch, they usually haven't thought through all the important nuanced details of a product. And it's like Google with Gmail, right? It's like, or any of its products, they're like usually pretty half baked for about 10 years, and then finally they play catch up, but there's usually a better tool that does a very specific thing better, right? So like if with Gmail is like, well, Superhuman came out like before, like there wasn't a need for that, but they were like, oh, we could probably do it better, you know. So I think it'll be interesting to see where that goes as well. Cool. Well, thank you, Andy. That's
Hmm.
great share. Anyone else want to chime in?
I have a question. Has
Sure.
anybody had success using Figma Make
More or less. I've done
Yeah.
quite a lot, but
Yeah, I'm just.
what do you mean by success?
Well, I mean, I know that so I've used it a bit, and it's it's good at recreating the designs that I made, depending on like how my components are labeled and all that. And if I'm building quickly, because a lot of times I'm doing like, I want to get like a rapid design into actually almost production quality. Um, what I'm finding is that if you look at the code structure of those, you'll see like for a simple page, you get like 5,000 plus lines of code. When my engineer goes and looks at that, because we do actually, so we're doing pure design programming pretty much. So we're working a little pod every day. When I'm over and push everything into Cursor, I'm having to refactor multiple times to be able to push that up to him. But then the other day we raced just to like test this thing out. He wrote 900 lines of code. Um, Mine was still about 2,000 after refactor. And it just goes to show like we started looking at other tools that were doing like some other things and how poorly some of these tools are putting out their code and not like making it, it's not quick code. It's not great. Um, and then every day I'm learning more about, how do we restructure the code to make it better, which is helping me kind of work backwards when I'm thinking about the components that I'm building. And I also noticed a few things about the way in which if you're building tokenized components in Figma, if you push it out into Make, you've bloated that, so you're going to get even more lines of code. So when you try and push that over, and I think it's interesting because I'm wondering if Figma Make is going to realize like, so the point is to go from design to development at some point to bridge that gap, but you're having designers build out all these tokens and you're walking people through, oh, this is the good strategy structure. And it was a few weeks ago, I was telling the engineer, because we're on a very short timeline, we're building an AI application, and I have like a bunch of components ready to go. We just got a kind of a massive pivot and ask from directors. Not sure how we're doing it. The team's been working till 2 o'clock almost every single day. I was up till 12 last night. And I realized, why am I building all these things in Figma when I should just be moving to Storybook? Because I know what I'm doing, and I can just take everything from the code, refactor it, push it into Cursor, get a good enough like base level component, push it in the Storybook, play around with it. Now we're building a tool set so that we can kind of do our own little operations, similar to like if you've seen Aura is a tool, or what is it? Magic Path is another tool that's doing
Magic
it.
Path,
And then there's one other tool that I think kind of popularized that. I want to say his founder's name is Philip. Subframe.
Subframe.
Yeah, Subframe. Got to meet with him. Cool guy. I like the product, but I think once again, it's like all these tools seem to have that like. Maybe it's just. Kind of candidly, I had this discussion with Magic Patterns founders not too long ago with one of their engineers. I was like, man, some of you guys are just living off where like the designer does it. Now, if you're not a programmer as well, right, you can move with the tools that you have directly in to empower yourself to like move quicker, and it doesn't involve using half of these tools. And I told them the other day, because we were actually pricing out like, if you go to, I don't know if you've ever used Fiverr for like a web design. I actually just recommended a family friend to use Fiverr just for a quick build, because they don't have the time to like learn it. I asked them how much they paid for it, and the prices on those have come way down. And I realized that they paid less for getting a website developed and functioning than they would have on tokens to actually learn it and do it. And the prices are coming so far down for some of these people who are building websites quickly. That was another thing that I was talking with these guys about. I was like, that you spend 200 a month plus whatever else you're spending to build XYZ product. The price of a site by getting a professional to do it is X amount of time. What could you be doing with the rest of your time if you're,
Yeah, that's interesting.
And yeah, that was a lot of thoughts there, but
yeah, This is you unpacked so much. First of all, just to respond quickly to like that last comment, that is very interesting. In all likelihood, those developers are all using vibe coding tools just more efficiently to be
Oh
able
yeah,
to spit out websites or tools quicker. And so, yeah, not surprised to see the market kind of cost go down for it. And yeah, you're not wrong. Like, why would you do it yourself when you could pay somebody a lower cost to do it? Like, that's just arbitrage, right? Of time and effort. But yeah, to your points
I
about,
think it also
yeah,
depends on
go
your
ahead, Matt.
long-term
Maybe.
goals.
for sure. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
depends
yeah,
on your
also
long-term
true.
goals, right? Like if I don't long-term want to learn how to build, then yes, that's a great opportunity
Yeah.
cost for me to pay someone else to do it because long-term I'm not going to. But if I do want to learn how to do all that stuff, then it's worth absorbing that and figuring out how to do it and pay the however much in credits for me to learn it because then I will be able to. I'm not going to go on Fiverr or Upwork or
Yeah.
anything, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I could then start offering those services.
I actually had the same conversation with a professor the other day, because I was debating that. So with how much this is changing, like frequently, every week I'm in the tool probably 15 plus hours outside of my day job. I'm building a tool almost every single day. I've realized over the last since January, the more I'm building, it's like I'll get ahead some weeks and I'll get behind, or I'll be behind other weeks, and then somebody will figure something out, and I'll be like, oh my god, I was doing it wrong the previous week. I took a month off finally after, so I haven't taken any days off since January, minus this 1 month. Or it was really technically 2 weeks, but I was still in there. I realized in 2 weeks I didn't miss anything. I came back and about, let's see, I have 4 people on a startup team that I'm working on that are kind of the same cadence. Um, I was like, what did I miss in 2 weeks? And it was like, well, we figured out about 6 or 7 different ways not to do this thing. And they've already corrected it for Anthropic and Cursor on the MCP side. Actually, this is when like Figma's MCP was coming out. Um, and there was a lot of bugginess and whatnot. And so the engineers were like, yeah, you didn't actually miss anything in the 2 weeks that you were gone. Here's the correct way of doing it. And in an hour, they taught me exactly what I missed in 2 weeks. Um, so I was like up to speed on that. And that's kind of the same thing. Like if you look at, I don't know, just learning in general, um, boot camps, anything like that. And like I'm in, let's see, I've been in 2 different AI courses where I go in and I learn over 3 days, or one was 6 months, but um, I'm learning. You're grabbing just a bunch of information in a short amount of time, so you can actually, I for the team that I manage and work with, I'm just kind of like, if you feel like you're overloaded and you're like always on the cusp or you're falling behind, don't worry, you can step back. There's like one article or somebody's going to find a wrong way of doing something and write like this long documentation, and you can catch up. But for the people
Cool.
that like I build websites for, um, who are these people who would go out and buy websites? There was a question like similar. I want to be able to build and I want to know how to, do this AI stuff so that like I can mold my website and I have the base understanding. And you're right, the end goal, if you're a builder versus like somebody who's just, uh, a consumer of these, um, you want to have the knowledge to be able to understand it and talk to it, and talk to the people that you're paying to do this, so that that they're actually worth what they say, or at least I would advise that to all my clients, um, because well, I mean, it's so easy for me. I'm like, you can here's a resource. Go out, just study this for an hour. You're gonna have just as much knowledge to know what you need to do, versus spending a week in it. Like, yeah, you can get a lot out of it. I just think that we go steps forward, we go steps back, and there's just, even the engineer I talked to recently, who's one of the engineers at Magic Patterns, he was like, there's just so many, like, part of it's luck a little bit on some of the things that they're figuring out with their tool even. And I was asking him like a technical question on how they produce, well, so they might have just released this, I want to say, their own Figma like style MCP, um, where you can just pull up your designs really quickly into that tool. But part of it, there was just so many questions that he had too as he's doing this, and I was like, well, when you figure it out, let me, let me know. And he's like, oh yeah, you won't miss out, don't worry. And in my head, I'm going, okay, well, I'm walking away from this. I'm not gonna like focus on that, but I'm gonna come back and he's gonna tell me how to do it when we have our next meeting. So I don't need to focus on it. Even though my goal is to, in the end, also understand how to build these things. Like I'm in a Python class right now for the next 3 months where I'm actively working on building like my own systems, etc. But
yeah. I think one of the things you mentioned earlier was, Figma Make not producing the results you want. One of the things that I found early on was exactly that. Like, I thought the output for some reason of Figma Make was way worse than the Figma MCP. So I'm not sure if you have tried hooking up the MCP via Cursor. And I found really great results with that. But also, even with that in mind, there's a very important detail you can't miss, which is you need to instruct it to use it as a reference, but do not take the code from it and make it your own. Instead, take the code that that you've built in your already made site, or maybe you've pre-instructed it to build your base app in a very specific way. Like, let's say for me, I always start all my new apps by building a design system first, so that I can reference it. And I instructed very specifically what to use. I'm like, look, I want a design system built on Radix. I want you to use Tailwind as the framework, right? I also want you to add in ShadCN components so I can use them in certain situations, and build me a base app that will allow me to, be the foundation of all the other apps that I create. So usually that gets built first, and then I'll bring in Figma MCP and be like, and this is usually all in Cursor, by the way, and say, great, now I want to build a page that does X, Y, and Z, and then I'll reference the Figma file, say use this as a reference, and then build it based on our system though, and interpret it. And usually that leads to really good results and not as much bloated code, although I haven't done the one-to-one test that you did with your developer, where I try to code it myself and compare, how many lines of code it would be. But yeah, it's definitely a real problem because, as the more lines of code you have, the larger file size you're going to have, which means the slower the load time. And as your application grows in size, B150 is like a beast now, right? Like, it's just going to go slower and slower and slower. And that can cause problems, so yeah, very interesting. There's also something that's worth mentioning, because you were mentioning it before about Aura, for example. I actually built a tool that I'm not sure if everybody's seen here. I'll put it in the chat. It's called the Vibe Coding Starter Kit. And so for people, especially who are starting from scratch, I'll put it in the chat there, and maybe building an application from the very beginning, this is a great foundational tool that literally, you can explain to it what you want to do. It'll create a PRD. It'll then take that PRD, advise on what tech stack you should build it on. And then you can even feed in things like your MCP link. You can also feed in some like styling, like colors and fonts you want to use. And then it will output a PDF with an organized set of prompts in order, so that you build your application correctly from the get-go. I haven't thought about it in terms of like a new feature. It's definitely for people who are very much like starting out from the beginning. But I'm sure it could work in that context as well. So something worth checking out for sure. And it's totally free, by the way.
I already did that actually. It's actually quite cool, Adam. The only thing is I generated it. Sorry, it's actually quite loud. I'm not sure if you guys hear it as well.
It sounds like you're in an airplane. I don't know if it's you or someone else.
No, it's not me. It's definitely not me. I'm
Okay.
not sure. So I haven't executed it, but I think, did you mention like you can do it in Cursor, or there's another one
Yeah,
Is it
yeah. So
mainly
Figma
cursor or?
MCP. Well, my like the output of my of the vibe coding starter kit. Honestly, you could use it in pretty much any
Maybe. Yeah.
tool, right? You could use it in Cursor. You can use it in Windsurf. You could use it in Claude
Mm.
Code.
Well, cool. Okay.
You
Cool.
know, but you know, in terms of using it in like, let's say, Lovable or Bolt,
Mm.
or I don't know about Replit, but mostly Lovable and Bolt. I've never tried it. You certainly could. The only problem with those systems is that they are very opinionated about how they like to build. So it may or may not follow your
Mm-hmm.
exact instruction because it may say, well, we like to build things this way here, and it will
Yeah.
just go off on its own and build it the way it wants. Where I've found that Cursor or Windsurf or Claude Code, it's like free range to choose the tooling that you feel is appropriate. So like for me, I did tons of research on different design systems that would be great for customization and accessibility and things like that. And I found Radix, for example, to be the best
Radix.
tool
Okay.
for this. But there's many other
Mm-hmm.
designs, you know, libraries out there that you could utilize. You could use material design.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of other ones, right? So my point is like if you tried to do that inside of Lovable, I feel in my past experience, it would like basically like it wouldn't go the direction I want, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'd be really annoyed.
Yeah. And what about Langflow? I think there's another tool.
I've never
Langflow.
tried it. Mindflow, I
Me neither.
haven't tried.
I was actually planning to do it, so next time.
Yeah,
I'll
I'd
try
say
doing
like
that.
any coding assistant that
Mm.
prioritizes kind of like being in a development centered
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
So like even GitHub Copilot probably would work. Probably like I know Amazon has a new one. I can't remember the name of it, but they just launched it.
Kira.
Like, thank you,
Mm.
Kara. So there's a few of them that are like a little bit more developer centric, and those ones likely will
Yeah.
like allow you to be more flexible versus you know Lovable and Bold. They're playing to this like you know well really like vibe consumer market that frankly is like I know it's like vibe coder is like popularized term, but it became popularized actually for that reason because it was
Mm.
like amateurs trying to do kind of like amateur things, but like in a professional way. And I actually think it's much more than that. The people sitting in this room are just way more advanced than a vibe coder, like in its a more traditional sense. So it's like
Mm.
I think that term is starting to evolve into something much more. And yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Cool.
Cool. Any other things people want to share or general
So,
comments about the
I
community? Yeah,
I
go ahead.
did
Sorry.
I did have a thought in response to what Matteo was originally saying about the quality of the output from a tool like Figma Make.
Mm,
And I know this might be like beating a dead horse, and we've kind of talked about this at length already, but I think it really boils down to speed and quality and the end result of what you're trying to achieve. I'm familiar enough and comfortable enough in a tool like Cursor, but I'm not fast.
mhm.
I've tried to be when I have some free time, I'll get in there and I'll try to. I'm a designer, you know, by trade, and that's where my skill set lies. And I know all these tools are allowing us to become more vibe coders and design engineers, and I'm excited for the future in that sense. But if I'm trying to do something quick and efficient just to get some gut reaction, knowing that it's not going to make it into a production environment, I'm not going to spend the time trying to do it in a tool like Cursor. I can, from an interaction standpoint, I can feed a Figma screen into Figma Make. It's going to look close enough to what our app looks like. It doesn't need to be interactive. I don't need every single button to link to every
Yeah.
single area of the app. What is the key interaction I'm trying to achieve so that I can communicate that effectively to the stakeholders?
yeah.
This link goes to this new pattern that is a new behavior in the app that I am actively working on. They can get the framework and context of where they are in the app and then I can take them off into the new pattern that I'm trying to establish. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Just based on like, I'll say this too to people, like use a tool you're quickest in, but
Yes.
also remember what tool, like, what is the end goal? What are you trying to achieve really is like the first thing. It's like, what am I trying to do? For me, I work in a lot of teams that are like, go, 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 like and you have us over here is like, oh, we're being made to be built for speed, which I don't know is always a good thing. I love to slow it down to my own personal projects, and I really like to think about it, and I'll design step by step, and I am too, like classical designer. So the beginning of this year was really my like launch into this.
Yeah.
Speed up, everybody's going 100 miles per hour, and then it just went from that into the next project where it's like, hey, can you do this entire redesign of our product in 2 months?
Yeah.
Here's the challenge, and you're sitting there like, well, the job market's really hard, and could I do it in 2 months? Yeah, but I'm not going to sleep. But hey, I'll do it, and then I've rolled from one project to the next. But I think that's the sacrifice in it too. The job market thing is like a huge thing that you could talk about with AI right now. We just hired for design, like wild, I think, to be on the end of hiring. Who was the guy? What's his name? He's doing the OnlyFans. If you've seen that.
Zhang?
Hang.
Hang, yes, Hang, yes, yeah. I went to one of his events in New York City because Magic Patterns was doing the thing there, and I went there I was on deck for presenting. But it's really interesting to watch those. Oh, see, Chris, yeah, it's really interesting to watch those to see what the recruiters are saying about like what they're looking for and the whole thing that he posted about craft. I found that I was watching one just like in the background whilst we were like just working through and having like a discussion because we kind of like keep it Discordy at my company. But he was asking, define craft to one of the recruiters, and I don't know if you watch this, and the person had like a really hard time saying or defining like what they exactly look for and what is good craft, because they're not designers, or maybe they were, but I thought it was interesting, the quote that I kind of walked away with, which was like, he said something like, as designers, you either have it or you don't. And I was like, ooh, if that's the recruiters I'm going up against. Like later, at the end of this year, thank God I just got a contract extension, but I was like, what do I have to prepare for next? Because I roll off these things every 3 months. So, you kind of have to go, and I've been that way for a little bit now. So, maybe what is everybody seeing out there if you're recruiting or you're talking to people in the AI space about hiring processes or friends?
Yeah, I can definitely speak to that because I live and breathe it every single day. Part of my main job is as a former designer and now as a recruiter and running a staffing and recruiting business. So it is exactly what I do. But I think one of the things that's interesting in what you're, talk a little bit about what you mentioned before, both Andy and Matteo. It's like they're different. Like the end goal, depending on the end goal, you need to be preparing yourself in different ways, right? And it's also maybe not the end goal for you, but also the end goal for your company and your team, right?
Yeah.
Like Andy, it sounds like maybe in your scenario, you have some developers already on staff that are able to and willing to build things in code, and maybe even are leveraging some of these vibe coding tools themselves, and will know how to take your Figma file and bring that into Cursor and build it out.
Right.
And you actually don't need to be involved in that part of the process, right? I mean, to some degree you will, but either way, like your focus is, okay, well, I actually want to just build a really quick prototype so that I can show it to them, explain how it works. Maybe they don't use that as the production code, but I get my idea across a lot better than it sits here in this static Figma file. But then another scenario that I want to talk about, because literally there was a post about it today, and I've been observing it also. Intercom, the head of design there, I think his name is Emmett, he just posted today, and they did a whole article on this, on how they are training their team to become Vibe coders and integrating that into their actual production workflow, right? Where their design team will own completely the front end of the application code. And so in those scenarios, it is incredibly important that you know how to go truly from Figma into an actual production environment and go and launch production ready code, right? So that's a different goal. That's a different team structure, right? Not that Intercom doesn't have 1,000 developers. I'm sure they do also have that. But maybe those 1,000 developers can be better leveraged and deployed to a different technical area that may be more complex, something that us as designers frankly wouldn't want to or need to touch. But instead, the designers are now empowered and the team is empowered to go and actually ship features that were typically harder to ship before, right? So, so just something to think about. And so as you start to think about like, where do my future, jobs come from? Where does my skill set need to go towards in order to secure more work? Well, I'd say it's both of those things, right? Like you need to be able to do what Andy's doing, spin up a quick prototype, in Figma Make or whatever tool you desire, or maybe it's taking that into an actual production-ready code environment. And I think if you know how to do both, your job prospects all of a sudden increase. If you only know how to do one, they're less. If you can't do any, well, goodbye to your job in a few years, right? So, so I think that's like where my mind is at. It's where I think a lot of our clients are also going towards, and I think you're going to see a lot more stories like Intercoms starting to actually sprout up in real terms.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Cool. We got 5 minutes. I know. I wanted to turn to you.
Sorry,
had something to say before.
I was just going to ask very quickly, like how do you deal with overwhelming amount of those tools? Because I'm trying all of them. I've been trying to use Stitch and Lovable and Bold, VO and Bold and everything, and it's a little bit overwhelming. I don't know if it's for everyone. So far, to be honest, I had the best luck with Builder.io. I don't know how, because I generated a prompt that I put it for, that was for like a sales team, like a sequence email dashboard. And I put the same sort of prompt into all those tools. And to be honest, Builder.io, it was actually the best result, to be honest with you. Sure. But anyway, so I'm just a little bit overwhelmed, but I just wanted to quickly share one thing which I was just reading, because I've technically speaking been like a solo designer for quite a long time, and I do struggle with the fact that I don't have feedback, like direct feedback from other designers, because it's not like I can just call my friend while I'm actually designing. So I was kind of trying to figure out if there is actually any sort of like already AI assistant, like in Figma or whatever, that could give you like a prompt or like kind of look at your rationale. So there are actually students in Korean, like a advanced technology institute, that are working on this concept for like a Figma plugin that basically it tracks like your decision making, and it gives you like a prompt and is asking you questions, and also like kind of predicts the next action. So it sounds kind of cool, but I don't know if there's anything like this out there. I can send a link. Actually, it's quite interesting. But that'll be quite nice to have some kind of assistant. I'm sending a link here if you guys want to read it as well.
This is kind of like a. So Adam, actually, this is funny. This is like a shameless, not a plug because it's not out yet, but the team that I'm working with and what I organized back in the spring of this year was because I was on a solo team, having to wear a lot of hats. And I realized that I would love to have 3 of me. And after I said that, I was sitting there over a weekend, realized I have a lot of people who are actually AI engineers in my circle. So we put our heads together and I started to build a tool that is going to be able to take a collective mind of design and then help you individually, but it's more focused around our individual IP as designers and what we create futuristically as like what actually belongs to us. So if you think about, in a way, the way that the crypto space, has NFTs, our designs eventually live inside of a system. How do we capture like our design worth and what are we to a company in a new economical market? This goes deep into a bunch of different things, but there's a guy who's he's actually interesting. He was a finance guy who turned into DevOps, and been in DevOps for, I don't know, almost 20 years now. He worked on cloud, the origination of cloud, which is kind of cool. And we have another guy from Microsoft who's pretty big in the space where we're kind of, initially it was just a design tool. It has a lot of other functionality, but I wanted it to be for the base. What you said basically is if you're on a solo team, it helps you kind of see across what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong, like how can I improve in this, like did I make the right choice here. It's gathering information across different teams, and actually I'm working with the head PM at Yelp, is one of the 6 advisors on that team from different large organizations. So if anybody links me to their LinkedIn here, I'll put you in the beta. I'm actually on 2 different betas right now for 2 different tools that we may plug into this thing. But I'm trying to use like image capture. So like if you're designing, right, and you have your camera on, it's just you collecting your own data information. But I think one way in which we can figure out our face is like the mirror to what we're feeling and everything, right? I figured out that if you can mirror that, so for me, I had my screen watch me as I'm going every single day, as I'm designing. You can see me get frustrated when I mess up, but if the screen knows when I'm getting frustrated, then it's going to know what I need help with and when I need help with it without me even knowing it. So then I can start training the model so that it starts predicting. The more information I have, the more it helps me speed up my workflow. So then we apply that across, and I'm working with, well, I want to work. I've been reaching out to this one behavioral scientist that I really want to get more in depth in this research, because I'm not a researcher by trade. Like there's a lot of information out there on tools that are doing something similar. ClickUp is another tool that kind of like, this is a branch into like orchestration and tools, but yeah, I'm sorry. It would be a long discussion. I know it's 1 o'clock, but it's neat stuff.
I'll kind of summarize what you said, and then we'll wrap things up. But really important point, Ilana. I think I've noted that this is a problem as well. There are some tools out there. I have not explored them personally, but it's a problem to solve. Maybe something that you want to jam on with Matteo. It seems like he's already working on something maybe in that vein. So I think there's something there. That's what P150 is for, finding great collaborators, people who are interested in this space and growing. This was a great session, guys. I learned a lot. I hope you guys did too. Hopefully our audience will also learn something great too. If you guys like this, please let me know. Send me some feedback later. Format, things you can do better, things that were going great. All of that. We want to do more to help support the community. So I just really want to thank you guys deeply for joining and participating. And have a wonderful rest of your week.
Hey Adam, I had a quick question.
Sure.
Everybody put their like LinkedIn in the chat so I can follow you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yep.
I'll pop it on the screen once you do it.
Adam, are you going to organize it again soon?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it
I think
seems
that'd
like
be
this was a success. Had to wait a tiny bit for everybody to show up, which is fine. I think we know that not everybody's going to be here like right away. But I think it was a pretty good session. I'm going to show briefly everybody's stuff here on the screen. So if our audience wants to follow along, you don't need to actually connect with these people. You can follow them. That's also okay. Not everybody realizes that. But I'm just flowing through these. Let's see. And I think, Matteo, do you want to add yours as well?
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
put
sorry.
everyone. Okay.
Where do I put it? Oh, there we go. Lost the window for a second.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to show that
All right.
one.
I think I got you there. Perfect.
Amazing. Great. Well, thank you guys again so much. Hope to see you in B150. See you soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Adam. Lovely to meet
Take
you
care,
guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks, Adam. Nice to meet you guys.